Begin by offering a trigger warning for viewers who might find details about dowry abuse, harassment, and murder unsettling. This video might not be for you. We're talking about Nikki Bati, who lived in Greater Noida, so close to our nation's capital. She was set on fire by her husband because she did not meet his dowry demands. Nikki is not alone. This is a story about women in India. To begin with, Nikki, 26 years old, was married to Vipin Bati in 2016. Apparently, her in-laws demanded a car, they asked for money, they asked for gifts, and those demands kept escalating. The recent demands was 36 lakh rupees in cash, either a Mercedes car or 60 lakh rupees outright. Nikki and her sister Kanchan were married to two brothers in the same household by parents who obviously knew that this was not a household that was safe for women. The two of them got together, these two women, and they started a beauty parlor in an attempt perhaps to fight back for their independence. It was called Makeover by Kanchan. It had 54,000 followers on Instagram and nearly 3 million views cumulated across all of their videos. But Nikki's husband was opposed to her using social media and even at one point damaged her parlor to shut it down. On the 21st of August, Nikki apparently told Vipin she would reopen that parlor. And by evening, she was beaten, doused in fuel, and set ablaze. There are disturbing visuals of that assault that have now gone viral on social media that were taken by Kanchan, the older sister. In one clip, it shows Nikki being dragged by her hair. The other, she's stumbling down the stairs while she is on fire. Vipin Bati was later arrested by the police. He had to be shot in the leg because he was trying to apparently escape police custody. His mother has been arrested as well. When speaking to the press from a hospital bed, Vipin apparently showed no remorse. He said husbands and wives fight all the time, and this has, he basically said that we did nothing wrong. The worst part about this story for me was the fact that Nikki's young son was witness to his mother's murder. He actually said to the press and the police that they poured something on my mother and slapped her and then set her on fire with a lighter. Nikki succumbed the same night that she was set ablaze. The police have arrested her husband, his parents, and the husband's brother, for this murder. I want to give you really, at this point, an understanding of how desperate right now dowry harassment is in our country, because a lot of times when we talk about social evils as we were taught in school, we want to believe that these are things of the past. I want to give you a few other cases. In May just this year, 23-year-old Vaishnavi was found dead in her husband's home in Pune. After her death, her father filed an FIR saying her in-laws were pressuring them for a Toyota Fortuner. The family had already given them gold and silver. It turned out that her father-in-law was an NCP leader, and he had to be expelled from the party after the police arrested him and multiple family members for harassing and murdering this young girl. In a second case, in a different case, 27-year-old Ridhanya was found dead in her car in a highway in Tamil Nadu near Tirupur, where it was just 3 months after her wedding, and she had consumed poison but also sent a message to her father explaining how she could no longer bear the torture from her husband's family, who had already been given gold and cars and hosted a wedding of about 2.5 crore rupees. Still, it was not enough. A 22-year-old woman was found dead under suspicious circumstances in Delhi's Dwarka, and her father alleged it was a case of dowry harassment. And it was only after the police began to investigate that they found that she had been harassed and murdered by her husband. These are some of the details or stories that hit the headlines, but the numbers, if we actually look at it, are shocking. In 2021, and we don't have as updated numbers for crime in India as we should have, in 2021, 6,589 women in India were recorded as victims of dowry harassment and death. And experts say this is just the tip of the iceberg, because most of these cases are misclassified as kitchen accidents or suicides, and so the numbers could be much, much higher. If we take a look closely at ages, right? Non-maternal deaths. So we're looking effectively at women between the ages of say 18 and 35, women who are recently married. Now, of those women in India, many still die in childbirth. So if we set aside the deaths in childbirth, the non-maternal deaths between 18 and 35 are about 228,000 every year in India. Of these, nearly 7,000 die because of dowry harassment, as recorded by the police. And we're not talking about the ones where the complaints are not filed or where it just never shows up because people withdraw those cases. The worst state, Uttar Pradesh, tops the list with 2,218 dowry deaths in 2022 alone. Then Bihar, then Madhya Pradesh. Together, between West Bengal, Orissa, Jharkhand, Rajasthan, Haryana, they account for 80% of all the dowry deaths in India. To put it into perspective, Uttar Pradesh alone had a dowry death rate of 4 per 1 lakh women, which is the highest in the country. So based on the numbers that we're looking at, 7,000 women every year, every day 18 women are dying because of dowry harassment, because they're being set on fire, they're being poisoned, they're being murdered. And imagine their lives up to that point. Starved, beaten, burnt, raped, and then murdered. We hear about it only after the murder. We have to ask ourselves why this problem still persists. Why today in 2025 dowry is seen as a tradition of gifts and not something that was made illegal in 1961. The patriarchy and its control over women and its refusal to allow them any independence also leads to the fact that in spite of women being enterprising, when young girls show promise in school, they are not educated any further because that money is actually saved for their wedding. Family pressure, economic incentives, what will people say? The other very severe problem is even after a case is being actually filed, the conviction rate of those cases is terribly low. Analysis show that between 2017 and 2022, India's average conviction rate has stayed below 30%. So of the cases that actually do get filed, and if the police actually register that case and not throw it out or discourage people, only 30%, so less than 1 in 3, actually see any sort of conviction. And that's because a lot of times insufficient evidence, false complaints, misunderstanding, simple pendency in our courts that takes forever to actually reach a conclusion in any case, by which point all of the evidence is missing. By the end of 2022, 67% of the pending dowry debt investigations had been stalled for at least 6 months. There are delays in trials. 70% of the charge sheets get filed after 2 months. In 6,500 trials initiated annually, only 100 led to convictions, and 90% of the cases remain pending in courts. Recently, I had someone ask me why women behave like they are the victims of society or the victims in the world. This is why. Because you could get murdered by your own family for not giving them gifts that they want. And that's the reality of the country that we live in, that if you are playing tennis at the state level and you have a social media account, you will be shot dead by your own father. That is the reality of the world we're living in. That if you are a postgraduate doctor and you've taken a nap after working 24 hours in a conference room, you could get raped and murdered while you sleep. That is the reality of the country that we're living in. Women behave like victims because that is what we are. Because in spite of the fact that women use social media and the internet and beauty parlors and sports and various other ways to find some sort of independence and agency for themselves, the patriarchy will find a way to put its boots on their necks. Murder of women is a really regular thing. I did this interesting exercise. I asked ChatGPT to tell me what are the main reasons why Indian women get murdered. This is what it said. Number 1, dowry murders and deaths. nearly one dowry death in every 77 minutes. Number 2, domestic violence and cruelty by husbands and in-laws. 34% of all crimes of women are committed by husbands and relatives. Number 3, rape leading to murder. In 2022, 31,677 rape cases, that's 86 cases per day. Acid attacks and extreme violence. Number 4, underreported and misclassified murders. Number 6, reading about women getting murdered on a regular basis is something we have gotten used to as women. Is this really a way that we should have to live?